Hey guys, today we're going to be reviewing some SeaLlama versus KayhanMok. These hands were played yesterday. They had a mammoth session, heads up 20k NL, apparently playing 6 tables at once, which is a lot of poker. Today we're going to be going over the 12 most interesting hands. So, hope you guys enjoy. First one, we see SeaLlama opening with 7-6 of hearts. Kayhan defends about 125, I saw. All right, 10-5-4, you're going to see a lot of half pots. You can bet almost your entire range on this texture. He goes 40%. Okay, fine, it's very similar. This may just be a range bet. It's a very good texture, as I mentioned. Get raised. We're just going to be calling. You don't play many 3-bets. And if you did 3-bet, you wouldn't want to 3-bet a hand like this anyway. So you're just cool. If you want to go over 3-bets, you could 3-bet a hand like, let's say, King 6 of hearts, potentially. It just plays a bit less well as a call and has the nice overcard equity as well. So the 7-6 doesn't have great blockers as a re-raise, but the King 6 does. But anyway, I think you can just simplify things and not play any 3-bets. All right, turn none of hearts. SeaLlama turns a pretty huge draw here. We're going to see a pot sizing from Kayhan or a check is my best guess. Okay, slightly bigger. This is like 125%, right? 4-4-4 becomes 5-5-5, so it makes sense. Don't think you want to shove 7-6 here. You're blocking a ton of folds from Kayhan's range, both to straight draws and flush draws. Yes, if Kayhan does call you, you've got a lot of equity, but that's not the only thing to consider when bluff raising, so I would only call here. That's what happens. And now you shouldn't have any other sizing than all in at this point. If you did happen to have 10-4, it's now just a check call. And if you had a good hand like 4s or 5s, it's now an even better hand. And if he checks, then SeaLlama has one sizing of all in. So basically, Kayhan should be shoving or SeaLlama should be shoving. And obviously, if Kayhan shoves, then SeaLlama checks. SeaLlama would fold. So this is a pretty straightforward river decision for all players. I imagine this check call is just going to be some trap. It's kind of unnatural to have a thin check call in this spot here, unless he's got one of those like 10-4s. Queen 10, all right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nice line. And actually, that's not really a trap as well. So yeah, I was slightly wrong about that. 6-3, raise, 3-bet. You can 4-bet this hand if you want to. This time doesn't happen. Gonna see a pot sizing. There are 100 blinds, a bit deeper than 100 blinds. So yeah, we're going to see a pot sizing or nothing. He bets pots. Cool. SeaLlama has a call only. No raise, no fold. You would fold if you had 6-3 of diamonds. Turns combo draw. You can have some like B50, B60, and you could have a lot of shoves. You actually would shove a hand like King, Queen of Hearts before a hand like Ace, King of Hearts from Kayhan's perspective. But anyway, probably both hands shove often. So yeah, we might see like 6k, or we might see 9k, or we might see 16k. I don't think you'll see many checks. He goes with the 16k bets. All right. Yeah, I guess you just have to commit yourself with 6-3 and hope to see some random bluff. This time, sees one of those bluffs. Very fortunate. Very, very fortunate because you block the guy's 3 as well. Actually, it doesn't matter because you've got the flush covered. But yeah, you got the guy drawing in pretty thin shape here. Nice pot. He does scoop both as well. I think pretty standard line, by the way, from both players there. Despite Kayhan losing 20k, I think the line's very good. 6-5 would just be calling to the 3-bets. Expect to see like $1,600 here for B40. Versus that, he checks, okay. Kayhan can bet, can check. I think you're going to see probably a third pot or 40% sizing. In 6-max, you would ordinarily stab for a small sizing here, but in heads up, it's a bit different. 2 reasons. First, your range is very wide, okay? So when your range is wide, the thing that you don't really want to do very often is then depolarize. You don't want to necessarily depolarize with a depolarized range. You end up bleeding a lot of money. And the second reason is that if you've got pocket 3s, pocket 4s, or like ace queen, it's worth more money because ranges are wider. So that allows you to size to 40% instead of a third pot here. 6-5 can go either way. It really should just be mixing against a good player. He goes with the 40%. All right. Small raise, just call, no re-raise. Okay, so there's pot left. I think you do get to have some bets that are less than all in here. Kind of actually very, very similar to the last hand with a similar SPR. You're going to see around half pot and then shove. He goes shove, and obviously call. Yeah, very similar with the guy calling with pair and flush draw. What do you have? Eights, standard. It's heads up. It looks a bit thin, but it's standard. Especially you're covering all of the nines there. There's no 9-8 suited left. Kayhan would actually have some 9-8 offsuits, by the way, but that's low frequency. Although SeaLlama did 3-bet quite small, and there's no rake, and Kayhan's quite stationary, so he might be calling every time. I've personally played with both of these players. Actually, I've really not played much with SeaLlama. I think I had one heads-up session against him ever. KayhanMok I've played some amount with, maybe a few thousand hands of him against heads up. Some time back on PokerStars in the maybe some heads up 2K, heads up 5K. He's a big red liner, which is interesting because when you play heads up, obviously your styles will clash. So I'm generally a red liner, but he's more of a red liner than me. So when I'm playing heads up, I end up becoming a blue liner, which is interesting. Anyway, rambling. Eights end up being a very slam dunk, check raise, shove turn. You can also bet the flop yourself if you want to. Okay, Queen 8 is going to call or 3-bets. This time calls. This must go check, because otherwise we wouldn't be seeing the hands. We get some, okay, you can go beat 2/3 if you want to here, or check, it's fine. Interesting. I wouldn't have found this myself. I don't think it's particularly bad, but you have to have a smaller sizing. Creating this bigger 125% a bit complicated, so I would have just gone with a 2/3 sizing here. Like I said, though, you can have this one. It just makes things a bit more tricky for villain, but also it makes things more tricky for yourself as well. Check call. I guess that would make sense to have some leads because you certainly have more eights. You don't want to lead very big here. Maybe SeaLlama leads for like 10% pot or a 6th pot. 10% pot, give or take. Okay, so pot is 17.5 big blinds. SeaLlama puts in 2. Kayhan raises to 40. So it's like you're calling 8K to win approximately 20. So I think this is a 2-pot raise. Yeah, 1.5 to 1. So yeah, I think he raises 2-pot here. Look, this is just a bluff catcher. You just need to think, is the guy over bluffing or is the guy under bluffing? And obviously the value side as well. Does he have enough value? Does he have too much value? Does he not have enough value? For example, if the guy doesn't have enough bluffs, but also doesn't have enough value, he might still be over bluffing. There's this thing that I sometimes coach on, which is that sometimes you're against a player who's under bluffing, but also over bluffing, in the sense that they don't have enough bluffs compared to Pio, but they have almost no value, which means that they end up over bluffing anyway. So yeah, this is a case where I would not recommend to mix. I would recommend to think what you think villain is doing and then make an informed decision on that. I'm guessing SeaLlama decided that Kayhan had enough bluffs. The reason why I would say to not mix this is that it's extremely unlikely villain is going to be completely balanced in this situation, especially with the way this hand's played, where it's gone check, 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 overbet, call, donk 10%, massive raise. Okay, it's a very funky line. There is relatively no chance that Kayhan is balanced. So you should just pick one side of the fence and stick to it. This time SeaLlama calls, I guess. This time he is wrong. I wonder if you can ever 3-bet, by the way. 3-betting would kind of be very interesting here. Yeah, actually 3-betting would be very interesting. Maybe you can also 3-bet a hand like 7-3 though, and 10-3. Maybe he decided not to use the 8s, but then he can just use like blue 7-3 here would be a very good donk 3-bet shove. Although you'd lose more money in this hand if you did that. All right, open 3 bets. 4 bets, call, king queen's not folding, especially facing the small 3-bet and no rake. I think you're going to get some leads here, but it's very fancy. The reason why is The A-side boards are actually quite good for our position. I think I mentioned this in the previous video. The 4-better in heads up doesn't use many of the ace-x as bluffs, whereas the 3-better has a lot of ace-x that call the 4-bet. So that, and also the 10-8's quite a complementary texture, helps Kayhan's calling range with hands like 9-10 suited, Jack-10 suited, 8-9 suited, 8-7 suited that SeaLlama doesn't have ever. So I think overall this texture is pretty okay to lead on. Maybe you could even do some like lead shoves. Would be reasonable, I think. Anyway, this probably means nothing if we don't see a lead here. We just don't see a lead, so all just noise. Check, check. You can see the check back is insinuating that things aren't great for imposition here. Really like betting the turn here with King Queen. You can get more trappy with combo draws. Even Queen Jack and Queen 9 are open enders. King Queen's just got the naked gut shot here, plus it blocks a bunch of flush draw continues. May even block some ace queens and ace kings, although it's quite unlikely, but still it's in there. So I think I'd bet, and I would bet half pot or I bet 2/3 here. I think I'd actually bet 60% in this case. He goes half pot. Yeah, it makes sense. You're very polarized. And yeah, I think that's going to be all she wrote here. This is, you have the perfect combo of king queen. I mean, you'd obviously not want to have the queen of spades, but for instance, if this was a deuce of spades, it would be worse for you, because on the deuce of spades you would block more folds with the king of hearts than you would on the deuce of hearts with the queen of spades. If that was a bit confusing, just feel free to rewind that, because even I'm making sure I said that the right way around. But yeah, the imposition SeaLlama is going to bluff a lot of his queen x of spades, so you don't remove that many folds on the river. And SeaLlama will certainly, if he's got a hand like king 3 of hearts, check back the flop a lot. And then you'll block the calls on turn, and then obviously block the effective nuts on river. So I think this is a very slam dunk bet on the river here. Oh wow, he doesn't find it. That's super interesting. I would have thought that was a pure bluff. I might even look into this hand. So we see ace 5. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to put up the GTO Wizard solution because I'm very interested in seeing the result here. In fact, let's just kind of keep this one take. We'll just look at my own solutions. So heads up for pots, ace, 10, 8, two-tone. It was this way around. Let's open up. What do we get? No donks. Okay, so firstly, my talk about donking was not correct. I even thought you get some donk shoves. Not correct at all. So you can ignore me on that one. Check. Check back. Ace 5 doing some mixing. These king 3s, like I mentioned, look at the king 3 of diamonds here. Checks back pretty often. So check, check. We had the 7 of diamonds here. The suits are not going to be exactly the same, by the way. Sorry about that, but I think it should be pretty easy for you to understand. The diamonds are effectively hearts, right, in this hand, and the spades are the same. So king, queen, wow, doesn't bluff the turn. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Kayhan had this combo and this combo. Apologies for the back and forth, by the way. I hope it's not too annoying for you. King, queen is okay to bet. It's not terrible, but it is mostly a check. He bet for half pot here, so we'll just plug that in. Okay, so with half pot only, you bet, wow, very often with your range, and king, queen, majority checks. Fine, bet, call, deuce. Yeah, it's a pure shove. So, interesting give up. Let's just check my theory, by the way. Just reverse the suits, spade, diamond, and make it deuce of spades. See how you're now pure checking? So yeah, he has a really good combo of king, queen here with this order. Does not find the bluff. What did SeaLlama had? Ace 5 with ace of hearts. Okay, so the problem with this is you are blocking some 5, 6, 5, 4, right? Okay, 5, 4 is not touched, but 5, 6 is. So yeah, you are blocking those hands. I guess your hand is just going to be, I guess it still just calls here, right? You've got ace, diamond, X. Yeah, it still just can't fold. Your ace of diamonds is way, way too good. So it looks like he just saved himself a lot of money here. 11,000 bucks, provided SeaLlama doesn't fold. And I don't think he would have folded this situation, to be honest. I think he would have expected Kayhan to follow through here. So maybe he would have adjusted. Remember, they played 6 tables of heads up simultaneously. So when you're playing a match like that, you need to be adjusting on the fly. So if you're SeaLlama and you're expecting Kayhan to shove, you need to kind of update for next time when you've got a bluff catcher. Hey, is he firing enough bluffs? Maybe in this session he's not. Maybe 6 tables is too much. Anyway, I'm not saying that's the case, but these are things that I'd be thinking of when playing. All right, next hand. 100 blinds, Jack 7, open. We should not be 4-betting. We should be just calling this hand. We do call. You're going to see half or 2/3. And it's almost a range, but okay, he goes to third pot. So I think what is happening is he's going 1/3 and 2/3, and he's betting his entire range. Jack 7 is going to be raising some of the time. I don't like this combo to raise much, but it's certainly okay, especially if you think the size down is a bit too vulnerable. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just giving you instruction where if you think villain is doing that, then you can definitely exploit raise. Cool. Jack. This is a great turn for SeaLlama, obviously with Jack 7, but also with your range. This is a fantastic turn because you have a bunch of these random jacks. Like you can just raise random Jack 10 offsuit, random Queen Jack offsuit. I think the highest EV turn of the deck is going to be a Jack and a Queen for you. So yeah, this is a great turn. He's going to bet, I guess, half pot here every time. He goes small. I'm honestly not a fan of the sizing. I'm almost certain this is just an inaccuracy from him. It's probably not worth much, but I'm pretty sure you can just leverage your range a bit stronger than this. And he's not mixing a bigger sizing here. This is not like a 1/3 and 2/3 spot. So yeah, I think this is not big enough. And we get a very clean revert. So check, shove, and do we get a call? Remember, Kayhan went with the 1/3 on flop, so you get less calls in this line, I feel like. But that doesn't mean we don't shove. All right, next hand. Kind of standard. 125 effective here. Open. 3-bet. You can 4-bet sometimes. This time he does. Very small, by the way. He used the same sizing at 100 blinds and 125. It's a little bit surprising. Most guys would size up by at least a smidge when they're 25% deeper. If Kayhan shoves, you have to call. Great board for in position, obviously. You're gonna see a small bet. Players have their different hotkeys. Some players bet 20%, 25%, 30%, 33%. I would actually bet 27 myself. I'm actually just curious on what his hotkey is. He bets 2221 over 960, so he has 23% is his hotkey. Mine is 27, so everyone's got their kind of nuances. Min raise makes sense. Not going to go into why because it's just a very complicated topic. That's kind of boring. All right, cool. This is a thin call here, but just about okay. Now we're in kind of no man's land with the 10% bet. I think fine. What this is implying is Kayhan is very, very polarized. Very, very, very polarized, right? You call 4-bet, check min raise, a very bad board for you. So when he checks, he's going to auto fold a ton of hands. The kind of hands like, let's say, Queen 10 of spades, right? Queen Jack of spades. And it doesn't matter, obviously those hands are not possible. I've just seen SeaLlama's Queen of spades there, but you get my point. So it doesn't matter what sizing Llama reopens with, whether it's 10% or 20%, you're going to get a bunch of auto folds. So he uses the small sizing to just leverage Kayhan's check muck range. Kayhan's going to fold probably 50% to this 10% bet. So it overaccomplishes quite a lot. I actually really like it. I don't think I would have used 10%, but upon seeing it, I really like it. It's kind of a nice get out of jail card. Get out of jail move in a way. Because ace queen's like a really dicey hand, but it's very satisfying to float the flop and then bet 10% and get a bunch of folds. It's a really, like I said, get out of jail card move. Very nice. Right, 125 effective, open, cool. Very good board. The first hand today we saw the 10-5-4 rainbow. The Jack 5-4 is obviously not too dissimilar. Lots of bets here. Llama's probably going to go 40% very often. Yep. Check raise, fine. Probably pots. He does have that 125 hotkey, but I think that's a bit rich when 2 straights complete, and SeaLlama does have them both, right? 6-3 is definitely in Llama's range, and so is 8-6. So I wouldn't be a fan of going 5-5-5-7 was the bet size in the first hand, with just a naked Jack. Yeah, cool. So he goes 3-3-3-4. So he's obviously got 75% hotkey and 125% hotkey. Yeah, I think this is much more appropriate with his range here. Min raise, yeah, cool. It's a good play. It's a very high level play. That's it. Kayhan has to call. He's going to get a ton of donk shoves on this river, by the way. He doesn't do it this time, although this hand is not really a good hand to do it with. But the idea behind the donk shove is Kayhan will actually have more flushes here. Llama is not incentivized to min raise many of his flush draws, whereas Kayhan with the strong flush draws is incentivized to just call them. So I'm pretty sure Kayhan's got a very big flush advantage. He does have a boat disadvantage, though. I definitely think SeaLlama has more Jack 7 in this situation. Firstly, if Kayhan had Jack 7, he wouldn't raise the flop much. And if he did end up raising and turning the Jack 7, if he bet and got min raised, he would just always re-raise the turn. So to that effect, SeaLlama has a massive boat advantage because he's just sitting there with Jack 7 offsuit, bets the flop, calls the raise, makes top 2, min raises, and then makes top boat. So there's a really big boat asymmetry, but there's a really big flush asymmetry. So yeah, I wonder what the sum of all of that is. 6-3. Well, there's the flush asymmetry, right? He says the guy's got too many flushes, so he can't shove the 6-3. 100 blinds, you can 3-bet 10-7 if you want to. It's optional. All right. 3 callers, just call. Don't think you want to raise this hand. Check, call, turn. Kayhan was going to probably go with an overbet here. He goes 125%, so whatever that comes out to be. That's certainly bigger, no? So this is 1100. What is that? I can't do math. 2500 divided 3600. I should do it the other way around. 144. Okay, that's an interesting hotkey. I don't think this is a hotkey. I think this is a scroll, actually. Small raise, which I don't think is ever a play. This is just exploit poker at this point. If you think about your raising range here, there's no hand that's got the board locked, unless you've got 7-8 of clubs. Otherwise, every hand is going to be vulnerable in some way. If you've got like 7-8 that didn't raise the flop without the flush draw, if you've got pocket 6s that didn't always raise the flop, you'd want to just check shove, right, and just deny equity as much as possible. So this play is just pure exploit poker here. There's no way that this is approved in my mind. Kayhan calls. And now he's going to check call the river, I guess. That would make sense. Like, he's check raised, thinking that Kayhan's got too many bluffs. And now he's going to check call. All right. I guess he now loses. Yeah, because Kayhan would usually bluff. So, yeah, it's just exploit poker. You can actually see that Kayhan's hand is very, very, very standard here with the Queen 7 flopping massive draw. So, yeah, if Kayhan had showed a different hand, like, let's say 4-5 of clubs, I think 4-5 of clubs would be a significant overbluff on the turn. If you then saw that showdown on the river, you'd be like, yeah, my raise is really, really good because I correctly identified he's overbluffing. But Queen 7, you don't really get any points for your theory because it's just a standard showdown at the end of the day. Calling, there are 100 blinds. Okay. So this has to go check and then SeaLlama's going to bet. Otherwise, we wouldn't be seeing the hand here. It's a really good stabbing hand, by the way. A cool heuristic to viewers is you actually stab more with deuces without the spade compared to with the spade. The reason why is that the spade can check back into the flush draw for free. The deuces without the spade doesn't have that luxury, so it chooses to bluff more aggressively. And yeah, this hand's a really good bluff. It's going to be, yeah, just going to be going all in here a lot of the time, provided the river's clean, which it is. Yep. I imagine some people are just like pulling their hair out thinking, what the beep are you doing with deuces? Like, but yeah, if you play high-level poker, you kind of understand what's going on here without trying to come across as condescending. It's just a good play. He's going to shove. And Kayhan's going to be in a tough spot with a bunch of hands. And the good thing is that those hands that are in a tough spot, you just don't block. Because the tough hands are like Queen 9, Queen 10, Jack 10, right? Ace Queen. You do a really fantastic job of unblocking all of those hands. And you actually block King Deuce of diamonds and clubs. And if Kayhan did have those hands, he would surely call. So you actually block calls, believe it or not, with your deuces, and then unblock a bunch of folds. So yeah, SeaLlama's plays is very, very much a good play there.